On the brink of mortgage defaults. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian Heiser here and welcome to another episode of Heiser Says. Grab your piping hot stein of coffee. We're going to have a look at and a talk about an article by 9 News or Channel 9 looking at affluent suburbs that are on the brink of mortgage defaults, everyone. Let's jump over here and have a look. Now, there's a lot of people. I mean, these type of articles and news stories will always get attention for two reasons. There are a lot of people who are, hoping for a price correction. Even people who've invested into property wouldn't mind getting burned a bit if it helps future generations. You know, you're sitting there, you've got your houses, you've got all your money. It doesn't really matter too much anymore if you take a bit of a shave of the profit you've made just sitting there. And then there's also a lot of Australians who are just fighting and struggling to get into the housing market. You know, what is it? Some places you've got to save up to 15 years for a deposit. Not to pay the house down, just for a deposit. And that's not helping with renting getting more expensive. The fact that we've had our first recession, I'll just bring this up, first recession in 28 years. And housing, well, what's housing done? Let's just bring up this, hang on, we'll bring this one up. There we go. It's, it's performed robustly, shall we say. And so people are going to be drawn to this. The third part is people are invested in housing here in Australia. So there's some people will be drawn to this because of it. You either want to get in, you want prices to normalise, or you want, you're worried about your investments or your portfolios. So let's have a look at this because they're talking about affluent suburbs and they're looking at a particular, methodology for assessing this. So, and remember, we've seen, last year we looked at articles where it was, well-to-do houses, two professionals, and they were dependent on the mortgage holidays from the banks to keep them in their house. Sure, it probably was an ABC article, I can't remember, but, and they go hunting for those type of victim stories, really. It feels like it because there's never any account of push for personal responsibility or agency, but I guess that's just feels like that's the ABC, to be brutally honest. So let's have a look. There are unexpected suburbs on the brink of mortgage hell. Once associated with affluence, Sydney's eastern suburbs, North Shore and Northern Beaches are at the greatest risk of mortgage default. Modelling by DFA, Digital Finance Analytics, exclusively for 9 News, shows 1 in 11 mortgage holders in Dover Heights is at risk of defaulting. Okay, so 1 in 11. That isn't that significant. I mean, honestly. And with let's bring up a few definitions here. I'm going to pull up what is, housing stress, everyone. Now, housing stress is typically described as low-income households that spend more than 30% of their gross income on housing costs. Okay? Housing costs, the low income. And I know here they're talking about mortgage hell in the article, but it's a similar thing. Mortgage stress, housing stress. It's when you're spending too much of your money, according to these old-fashioned rules, 30% of your income, on your mortgage or your housing costs. Now, if we bring up another chart here, this is one I need to show everyone just so they're aware. This is the differences in housing income, household income. High, over $2,000, middle, just a tad under 1,000. Low, adjusted lowest income, like $433 a week. Okay? So you've got to understand, if you're earning over $2,000 and you're in mortgage stress because you're spending 30% of your income on your housing, you're going to have more flexibility, more capability to move. If you're at the top of the income bracket, guys, if something goes in trouble, you can move some money around, and you've probably got, to be brutally frank, skills that can be adapted more than someone on a lower income, on the adjusted lowest income. That's reality, guys. Don't get all emotional. If you're earning the big bucks, you've probably got a better set of skills that can be flexible. Now, one thing with the DFA modeling is, they take account of cash flow. My understanding is that, if the money coming in is less than the money coming out, then you're at risk of stress. Now, by that definition, for the last few months, I've been in that situation. Now, I'm at no risk of mortgage default. I run a small business. I've got my little YouTube, a bit of hobby and fun that I do, but my architectural projects, they come in big chunks. I'll have one project here, another project here. I'm a lot pickier now than I was. I've scaled back the business, so I'll only work on projects when I want to. I'd rather do a few nice-looking projects I can make money and enjoy doing than a whole lot of rubbish. So I'll get, big chunks of money come in at different times of the year. So between those periods, what's coming in may not be matching what's going out. So am I at risk of mortgage default? Well, no, I'm not. And I don't think a lot of Australians are, or at least in these affluent suburbs. Remember, you're going to be dealing with people that hopefully, one would assume, to get into these situations, into these suburbs, you may have more people running businesses. You've got more people that are paid different ways to other people. The money may not be flowing in constantly. We've got here that people are ahead on their home loans. I should do another survey on the channel. Some people are years ahead with their payments on their mortgage. You've got liquidity buffers for renters, for indebted homeowners and outright homeowners. You've got money and resources that people can get to. And then we've got our negative equity, which is going down. And to top it all off, everyone, hang on, where is it? Where is that one? Wait, I want to bring up here we go, cash rate. I mean, remember the risk modeling for the bank is, 3%, 3.5% higher than it normally is, or 2.5% higher than the current interest rates that are being charged by the banks. So they factor that in. So we'd have to see a sharp increase. Now, if you have a look at this chart, what is it, 95 there? Look at that increase from about 5% up to 7%. I mean, that'd be sharp. That'd be a hit, but that's still within the risk modeling of the bank. Have we seen any increase in living memory in the last 30 years that's gone above that? I mean, never say never. There might be a first time, everyone, but that we'll have to see if there'll be political will for that. If anything, they might go negative before. Come on, guys. Remember, mortgage keeper's a terrible joke. Terrible jokes become reality. So that's one thing to consider here when we're looking at this modelling from DFA with the money in. These more affluent suburbs, I call it affluent stress, are not used to it. It's a new experience for them, DFA principal Martin North told 9 News. People are in financial stress at the moment, and many of those people are going to struggle over the next few months. It's a similar default scenario in Kirribilli, Gordon, and Bellevue Hill, where in Sydney's west, where they have far more conservative mortgages, they're actually better placed to weather the financial storm. Well, are we going to hit a financial storm? Or are these people in trouble? I mean, here's the thing. How many people in these affluent suburbs can work from home? That would be here's a question. Here's a question for your chat. We need to find a map showing the prevalence of people working from home or their ability to work from home. I'm sure we could kind of twig something. I mean, most consultants, engineers, project managers, anyone with an office job could work from home, so could work through the lockdowns. And the tradies, most of them are able to work on site, unless they shut down the construction industry like they do in New South Wales. So we'll have to see. Although mortgage stress is highest in the west and southwest, the risk of default is much lower. Now, is this mortgage stress based on the housing stress definition or the DFA definition or approach to money coming in and going out? Many have refinanced to cheaper mortgages, contributing to record high refinancing levels. Low interest rates have also helped provide a buffer. I mean, money is so cheap now to borrow. It's a joke. It really is. And you know where that's all going. It's just pumping up housing. It's a lot easier for people, unless you're a small business person, to borrow money and put into housing than into other things. And it's cheaper too. Here you go. A total of $17.22 billion in mortgages were refinanced in July, according to the ABS. Lending indicators an increase of $978 million, or 6% from the previous month in seasonally adjusted terms. Mr. North said families in affluent suburbs are overextended. Well, I mean, what? Okay, let's think about this. If you refinanced your mortgage, why did you do it? Did you do it? Maybe you could be in trouble. Now, that could be one reason. Or maybe you could be like a viewer, a doctor viewer in Melbourne. He reached out to me and he was, should we call it refinance bragging? He wanted to show off his refinancing game. Okay? What he did is he went to another bank, got a better deal, and they offered to pay him $3,000. Then he went back to his original bank, said, look at this offer I got, boys. Match it or do it better. So they did, and they gave him some money. Then the other bank, he went back to the other bank and said, oh, look, they've matched this. And he said, okay. This was the other bank. They said, okay, go stick with your own bank. 30 days, come back to me, get the $3,000 off me. Come flip your mortgage. What did he do? What did he do? What do you think he did? Do you think he refinanced twice in 2 months or 3 months or whatever the time frame was because he's under stress? No. He did it because he played one off the other. You got to there's competition here. This is a business like any other. So, should we see refinancing as a bad thing or should we see it as a good thing? Flexibility and adaptability in the market. You don't want people just to be sitting on your ass with your one bank. You want to make them work for it. They're not like politicians, guys. We can make them work. So, it's a combination of very large owner-occupier mortgages with stress coming from investment properties where they can't lease them or get the rents they used to while incomes are under substantial pressure. Okay, so this is the risk that he's addressing. And, well, how long are people going to hold out for? And that's where we need to look at the liquidity buffers some of these households have. How many months can they keep going on? How much can they cut back to hold on to their investment properties? Because there's a lot of units there. There's a lot of units. Will we see a flood of immigrants coming back? Will we see a flood of investors coming back? We've got this whole mess over in China right now. What was it with Evergrande's potential collapse and how it could impact Australia? And maybe, there's predictions that there could be a flood of property sold in Australia to meet that. Well, here's a counter suggestion to that. What if Australia comes across as even more of a safe haven to all of the investors that were investing in projects over there? Start looking to Australia more. Just putting it out there, guys. We need to play both scenarios because every time we see these predictions of dire impact to property in Australia, it doesn't seem to play through, does it? So, hey, I'm not making a prediction. I'm just asking the question of what could happen because bloody hell, come on. Remember 40% price corrections? So, anyway, back to this. It's these cross-leverage problems that create a dire situation in the east and north. They're very highly leveraged, and unfortunately it's becoming unglued now, Mr. North said. People who've bought in those areas have paid top dollar with banks willing to lend big. In the west, the risk of defaults in suburbs like Doonside, Greenacre, and Witherall Park is just under 2%, while in Rooty Hill it's 1.49, 1.45, in Hoxton Park, and 1.33% in Penrith. Mr. North said he's done the modelling for 20 years, and when everything is taken into account, it's the worst I've ever seen. Okay? I mean, I'm sure Martin has. But does that mean anything if it's the worst he's ever seen? I mean, that's the question. It's a soundbite. He warned things could get a lot worse. Official default figures don't tell you the full story, as banks will often encourage stressed households to sell before they foreclose to avoid the bad publicity and extra costs. Well, yes, that's it. And if we look at the amount of property on the market, right now we're seeing there's not enough supply. Demand is still high for property in Sydney and lots of parts of Australia, particularly in the regions, particularly where you may have your beach investment property. So we're not seeing a flood of property on the market. Blacktown school teacher Akram Zaki is seeing what's happening around him and he's concerned. There's some anxiety going on, not just personally, but I can feel it when I talk to other people, when I talk to my friends and family, he said. His wife is pregnant. His wife, Zell, is pregnant, so knowing they would soon go down to one salary, he refinanced his mortgage to save him $8,000 a year for the next 3 years. He also has an investment property, the type of owner-investor Mr. North refers to. What has that got to do with this? Is this his first kid? This is his first kid. Of course you're going to be stressed when you have your first kid. I mean, that doesn't mean anything. Wait till you're expecting your sixth kid. Bloody hell, I sound like a nutter, don't I? Online broker True Savings, are they paying for this? Said refinancing, while we have record low interest rates, was a simple way to build a financial buffer. Well, I would every bloody time. My thing with my mortgage, because I'm locked in now for 4 years while I do construction work on the house. So I'm gotten on 1.99 and I'm not doing anything. But before that, we had variable and I was doing my micro payments. So every time I got a little bit of money, I would chuck more at the mortgage, every single thing, even if I didn't spend $5 on a coffee. Boom, and then all of a sudden you're a month ahead, 2 months ahead, 3 months ahead, and it just keeps growing and growing. And what I would do is I would always reduce my payments to the absolute minimum. So I'd get the psychological benefit of just seeing it go down, and I'd be paying the same anyway. I'd be paying more, but it'd make me feel good, just to keep an eye on it. Everyone, to know what's going. It's a game, and then all of a sudden you paid a whole lot extra off your mortgage, and it's been funded by little crap that you waste money on. You don't even realize. Most people still aren't. They're still paying the loyalty tax and relying on the banks to give them the best rates, and it usually doesn't happen, founder Peter Steele said. Yeah, he's right there. He is right there. I remember I looked at an article from, Mortgage Brokers, where, I might peek into the mic, let me know in the comments, where Australians aren't really that inclined to do online applications for mortgages. You want to meet in person, but still, you got to phone around and make them work for it. Catherine Temple, Policy Director at the Consumer Action Law Centre, said anyone experiencing hardship should talk to their lender to see what avenues are available before they reach that default stage. It's a real dire financial situation for a lot of people, Ms. Temple said. We're hearing from people for the first time who've never had to seek help before. Significant debts take a huge toll on families, relationships and mental health, Ms. Temple said, and people should seek help the earlier the better. The National Debt Helpline is free independent service that can provide financial counselling. Yep, they're right there. They're right there. So here's the suburbs at risk of mortgage default. They don't define the definition here. This is my issue with this article, guys. If it's based on, cash flow for a period of time, is that a risk? How far can you stretch out your cash flow? How many of these people in these suburbs? They brought a teacher here who's having a kid, okay? That's not a business person. He's not a small business person. How many of these people are small business people that I haven't looked at the DFA data. It'd be interesting to see how granular it gets with their surveys. What the difference is between small business people and employees, or are they just surveying employees? Because then it's different. Small business people, you're used to money coming in big chunks at different times, and you've got to smooth it out over a year, really. We plan a whole year ahead. So Rachel has an Excel where she's planning months ahead with regards to our income and predicting our tax bill at the end of the year. And, that's what you have to do when you run a business and you don't have money coming in as an employee. So we'll have periods where, at the end of the month, she'll go through and tally everything up, going, okay, we've got this much in, this is how much we've spent. We're ahead this month, we're behind this month, we're behind this month. Okay, we're far ahead this month. It's just how it happens. So if that's the measure used for cash flow to determine this mortgage stress, mortgage default risk, I don't know, everyone. It's 9, so they're going to push an agenda. But what do you think, everyone? What's the solution or the takeaway to this? Let's have a bit of a talk, guys. Hang on. There we go. Look at that stinger transition there. It's not like I'm an amateur operation here. So, I mean, there we go, guys. Risk, the rich, the wealthy, the affluent at risk of mortgage default. It's some drama. It's going to get attention. Is it really a risk? Is it something that we really should be that worried about? And we're talking small percentages here. And we've seen it all before, again and again and again. Now, what if people have to unload some properties, if they have to unload an investment property? Other risks. Say you're living in one of these affluent suburbs and you've got some investment properties. Are you going to sell your house to keep your investment property? No, you're going to ditch your investment property to keep your house. Where are these people invested? Are we talking holidays? Are we talking holiday units? Are we talking little units in the city? Are we talking houses in lower class suburbs where it's propped up by welfare or other support? Or, what's it going to happen? Where is it going to be manifest? And we're not seeing a flood of properties enter onto the market. How many of them you think have investment properties up here in Brisbane, Queensland? It's always quite appealing to the Sydney-siders to buy up here. And I'm talking to family members now. One's just bought in New South Wales. He's selling his house in Brisbane because he wants to cash in on the insane demand at the moment. So that's the thing. Supply and demand, if we look at that, it's not telling us there's a flood of property coming on here. If anything, it's telling us if people are at the brink or at risk of selling, of defaulting, now is the time for them to flip and to reevaluate, maybe cash up and then jump back in later if there is a correction to the market. So, I think we need to be skeptical when we see these types of articles. We've seen them so many times, again and again and again, and people get their hope up. They're wanting a correction. I want the viewer who sent this to me. He wants property to be 20 grand on the coast of Sydney. And I'm telling him it's fun to fantasize too, because I'd love that too. But, that I think will be entering a Mad Max world. And you've got to remember, guys, the government has shown they're more than willing to intervene into the economy, and housing is the tool they use to stimulate it. What do you think? Let me know your thoughts, opinions, and your takes on this one. And maybe those of you that are in small business people, here's a question for you as well. But do you think it'd be worth doing a video just to explain, how to manage your cash flow for young people getting into small business? How to plan out your personal finances separate to your business, and look at some ideas and suggestions for that, because it's really something that we kind of had to figure out ourselves. And when I watch David Ramsey and all these other finance people on YouTube, they don't really talk about it. Anyway, guys, let me know your takes on this one. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. If you're a fan and enjoy the content I create here, there are a few ways you can support us. You can join the channel on YouTube or Patreon. You can sign up for Self-Wealth or Stake. Now, until the end of this month, Stake has a beta. If you sign up for it, you get a chance of getting 0% share trading for ASX, CHESS, HIN shares. So that means shares that are not held by a third party, they're under your name. $0, guys. Hey, it's free shares. If you click on my beta referral link, I'll go up in the list, and you'll get a chance to get in there as well. So check it out, please. It's one way I'm trying to, because, I'm doing my pocket money investing, and I want to buy my Australian shares. Normally I use Self-Wealth, because they're quite good too. If you sign up with my referral, we each get 5 free share trades. So that's saving me money as well, $10 a trade. Not going to complain, but it's good to see that Stake are coming in and they'll have $3 trades, so some competition. We want this in Australia, guys. We want competition. You can also use Amazon, eBay, Independent Reserve, or Aussie Broadband. Buy our Pocket Square merch there, you can see. Use Gold Pass from the Perth Mint or support us via PayPal. Take care, everyone. Have a great day. I'll see you next time. Bye for now.